What is creating the resistance in your life? If the name of the game is have desires, which I know you have, identify the resistance and learn how to drop the resistance so you can be in non-resistance, so that the natural functioning automatic mechanic, internal and external, can work and produce the results that you desire, then the name of the game becomes identifying the resistance and learning how to transform the resistance. Now, I'm not going to be able to go through the 4 resistances I'm about to share with you and give you the tools to transform every single one of them. Again, you can listen to other episodes on podcasts. You can watch other episodes on my YouTube channel. You can go to www.davidbear.com, subscribe to our email list, get some free trainings, maybe go deeper into the work, check out the Whole Human Framework, where we walk you through our 12-step process of identifying your desires and the resistances you have to them so that you can be operating according to this equation. Desire plus non-resistance equals desired results. But I want to share with you the 4 resistances that we've identified. Okay? I'm going to go through them with you quickly here. Number 1 are what we would call limiting beliefs. They're your run-of-the-mill limiting beliefs, because the 4 resistances are actually all limiting beliefs, right? All what we would call unintelligent thinking, all forms of thought that are not aligned with the desired results that you have for your life, right? But the first one is limiting beliefs. And so we talked about a lot of them in this episode, other episodes. Beliefs like money's hard to make, I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life, I'm never going to overcome this health challenge that I'm having, I have to figure out the perfect plan in order to produce the result that I want, I need to hustle and grind in order to produce great results in my life, I can't trust people, right? All of these are limiting beliefs. And we saw how your limiting beliefs through the internal and external mechanisms produce the results of your life. That's how thoughts become things. The second type of resistance is a resistance that seems to lock in some limiting beliefs. In other words, as you start to get into transformational work, personal development, whether it's through the tools and technologies and frameworks we teach or what you're learning from other great teachers that are out there, you start to change your life. And that's because you start to experience a changed mind. You start to change some of your beliefs. And as a result, you change the way you think, you change the way you feel, you change the way that you act and you show up in the world, and therefore you change your results. But I want you to think about right now, is there a limiting belief that you know that you have, that you know that you've had for a long time, and even though you've worked on it or you're aware of it, you haven't been able to shift it? Maybe it's a belief about yourself, right? Maybe it's that you're not doing enough, that you're not as far along as you should be. Maybe it's a belief around time. Maybe it's a belief that there's just not enough time to get it all done. And so you're experiencing overwhelm and anxiety and stress in your life, right? Why have you not been able to change this belief when you've been able to let go of other limiting beliefs? Well, what we found is that as a result of us developing our beliefs, most of them in relationship with other people, in other words, they taught us what to believe, or we had experiences with them that we developed beliefs around, we developed resentments for certain people, these people. And the resentment is like a cord between you and the other person that prevents the limiting belief from being transformed. So for example, let's just say that you feel like you're not good enough, and you experience that as a result of a relationship dynamic with, one or both of your parents, or a grandparent, or a teacher that had that type of negative influence on you. Unconsciously, you hold a resentment towards that person. It's almost like spirit within you knows that's not true, but the ego translates that into a resentment. Like there's a result or an effect of that harm or wound that was either consciously or unconsciously done to you. And so it forms a resentment. And so you can't let go of the limiting belief until you let go of the person that limiting belief was connected to. Does that make sense? And so we teach a really amazing process in the Whole Human Framework, our 12-step program, that's called the Forgiveness Framework, where you can inventory your resentments and identify those people who you are still holding on to, along with all the beliefs, the limiting beliefs that were associated with them, and you can cut the cord. But sort of the second area of resistance is a result of resentments, right? So we have limiting beliefs, and then we have resentments that are holding or entrenching some of our limiting beliefs at a deeper level. The third resistance is what we call the core program. I'm going to share with you a quick story about how I discovered the core program. It was around March of 2022. And, I had been in transformation and personal growth for over a decade. I had been teaching for 7 years, doing a lot of work myself. And I ended up having a breakdown. And it was that period of my life, I was experiencing some health challenges. Carol was pregnant with our first child. She's about 3 months pregnant. So she was just going through some pregnancy irritation. She was also frustrated and tired as well, of seeing me suffer with some of the health challenges I was having. Our business was going through a pretty significant pivot. It was like all of the certainty that I had built up from the time that I was in drug and alcohol and pornography addiction recovery, like the whole life I had built along the way, meeting Carol, launching our business, creating financial prosperity, having my community, clarity around my purpose, feeling good about my life. It felt like those things started to become unhinged. I was uncertain about my business. I was questioning myself as a teacher. Again, the health challenges, relationship challenges. We were having some contraction in our business, so I wouldn't call it financial challenges, but all of a sudden, after a long while of not really experiencing any type of financial insecurity, I was starting to feel financially insecure. And the stress was building up so much in me that I knew, having done a lot of somatic or body release work, that I needed to release the energy. And so I decided to get into the shower. I put on a cold shower, and I just started yelling. And Carol came running in, and my mother-in-law, Diana, came running in. They were like, "Oh my God, like what's wrong? What's wrong?" And I was like, "I think I'm okay. I just have to keep yelling. I have to get this energy out. I don't know what's going on. I've never felt this level of stress in my body before." And I got out of the shower, and they laid me down on the bed, and they called a very good friend of mine who's a powerful transformational teacher, and he did an energetic process to get my system to calm down. And then we called my brother, who some of you may know, Coach Mike Bayer. And Michael jumped in to get me some psychiatric help. And it had been like 15 years since I had been in psychotherapy, back when I got off of antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. And I was like, I don't want to get back on medicine, but this had been building up for a while. And I was like, man, I need to be like a powerful dad and a powerful husband. I got to stabilize myself. And so I ended up having a conversation with this great psychiatrist. And he's like, we're going to put you on this medicine. And there was this intuition I had, which was like, don't get on the medicine. You're meant to work through this. And I tried the first medicine. And 2 days later, I said, hey, I'm feeling this, what I think is a side effect. And he said, yeah, that is a side effect. We got to get you off that medication. He's like, well, put you on another one. And it doesn't have any side effects. I was like, okay. So he puts me on this other medication, and 2 days after that, I said, hey, I'm experiencing this thing that I think is a side effect. He's like, oh my God, like that's a really rare side effect. And what my brother had encouraged me to do, and what really felt right to me, was actually to get back into the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and work the 12 steps again, because it's a really powerful technology. And so I started going to AA meetings again, even though I wasn't struggling with my drinking, and I started working the 12 steps around my worry. Because that's what was really building up so much tension in my body. It was, I felt like I was just always, I was worrying about my health, and I was worrying about the business, and I was worrying about my relationship, and I was worrying about, like, I was having a kid for the first time. I'm like, what is that going to be like? There was just so much worry going on. And so I started working the steps around worry. And what was so interesting was at that time, Carol was going through her own, I don't know, like long, dark night of the soul. Is that how you say it? Like chapter. It was like a mini chapter. And so I was struggling with worry, and she was struggling with what I could see was control and letting go of control. And then my brother and I had really reconnected at a whole new level, and our relationship was just amazing. And so he was going through something at the same time, which was shame and guilt. And I was like, wow, I'm trying to let go of worry. Carol's trying to let go of control. Michael's trying to let go of shame and guilt. And that's when I realized that we were all working through at the same time is what we discovered was the core program. The core program is almost like a super limiting belief. It is something that each and every one of us do, thoughts we have, emotions we feel, core beliefs we have, that's really like the intersection of your parents' core programs. So like my dad, was kind of a critical thinker, and there was a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. My mom sort of never felt good enough and always thought that bad things were going to happen. And so it's almost like those two had a baby program, which was worry for me. And it manifested in my childhood as well. There was an experience I had that caused me to believe that things could go bad and that I should worry about them. Carol had something happen in her life early on that caused her to believe that it wasn't safe to trust other people and she had to control everything. My brother had a specific experience around the age of 7 where he believed that there was something fundamentally wrong with him and he felt guilt and shame as a result of it. And then that just continued to perpetuate itself. It actually started to build each of our personalities. And so in some ways, your core program is a version of your gift. It's sort of like a dissonant, mutant version of your gift. Like I'm very contemplative, right? Like I think about things a lot, but when it goes to the dark side, it becomes worry. But it's also my gift, right? Like I think about things a lot. That's why you and I already have this conversation, and I can explain to you the way that I'm experiencing and viewing life and the fundamental laws of reality and how you can improve your life and have a powerful living experience through a changed mind, right? So, but eventually in our 30s or 40s or our 50s, the core program is ready to be transformed, and we have to learn to let it go. That's the third resistance, is the core program. And again, I've done other episodes around how to surrender your core program. You can always come to our website, davidbear.com, get on our list, check out the whole human framework if you want to go deeper in this. But that's the third resistance. And the fourth resistance, which is fundamental to each and every one of us, is the belief that we aren't good enough. It's an isolated belief. It's built into this ancient nervous system and survival-based kind of mechanical, electrical operating system that we have, because we are afraid that if we are left alone, we won't survive, which is one of the reasons why connection and fellowship and community is so critical to living a healthy life. But as a result of this innate fear that we could be alone, which back during tribal times meant that you would die, right? If you were separated from the pack. It's built in as one of the essential, fundamental fears that we have. And so as a result of that, as the mind developed, we start comparing ourselves to other people. We start measuring if we're as far along as we think we should be in our own lives. And we have this self-judgment, self-critical internal dialogue or inner critic that's constantly evaluating whether or not we're doing enough and whether or not we're good enough so that we can be loved, so that we can survive. And what we end up doing is we outsource our self-love and our self-esteem and our personal belief in ourselves to other people. Right? And we look for approval, we start other seeking. And so this fourth resistance is to transform this pinnacle belief that we're not good enough through the daily practice of affirmation, self-love, self-esteem. And we can only do that once we've created enough space within ourselves by dropping those other 3 layers of resistance, right? Limiting beliefs, forgiving our resentments, working with and surrendering the core program. Then we start this practice of self-love, self-esteem, and a sense of self-security. So those are the 4 resistances. And if you want to have a powerful living experience, meaning intentionally create through these amazing internal and external mechanisms, both how we take our thoughts and materialize them into things, but also how life collaborates and co-creates with us to create synchronicities and miracles and coincidences to materialize that reality. The name of the game is not figuring out how to achieve your goal. The name of the game is this very simple equation of desire plus non-resistance equals desired outcome. So the focus that we all want to be focused on is becoming aware of our resistance related to any specific topic or goal or experience that we want to have, and learning how to transform that resistance. It's always going to be one of those 4 resistances, either a limiting belief, a resentment that needs to be forgiven, your core program being active and learning how to surrender that and allow the core program to operate without responding to it, or transforming this resistance of and this idea of not being good enough into self-love and self-esteem and self-approval. Hey, it's David. Hop on over to davidbear.com. Click right here. There's also a link in the show notes, and sign up for our newsletter. You'll get immediate access to my free Mind Hack ebook, as well as a couple of trainings to help you master the inner game. This is a great way to stay informed and be a part of our community and be notified of special announcements. Click below, head on over to the website, get subscribed. If you loved this video, make sure you check out this one or this one, and I will see you in the next video.